Why it's time to lower the voting age to 16 by me, Leroy Olivares. Each and every year, there are students and 16-year-olds all across the country that work to make ends meet and pay equal taxes as adults who work full time. Yet they are silenced when it comes to making big time decisions each and every year, which I find to be very unlawful and very wrong. U.S. labor laws allow full time work hours during school breaks, meaning that during these school breaks, while these kids should be focusing their time on academics by studying for tests at the end of the year or finals or a major test coming up when they get back from Christmas break, spring break, or the holiday breaks. They are working full time, making the check, but yet they're getting taxed, and they're getting taxed with no representation, time in and time again. Federal, state, and local income taxes, as we all know, are mandatory for me, for teenagers, but yet I can pay my taxes and go and vote. But these kids who are getting taxed just like me can't, which I find very wrong. And they also have zero input on education funding and infrastructure funding. I think they need more of a say on education, especially if it's something that they need to that they invest their time in with. That's a big decision that I feel like they are wrongfully left in the dark year in and year out when it comes to laws about their funding, where their money is going for their education. If you're putting all this time in, I believe that you should have more of a say. And infrastructure funding, that can be as far as theater art, new theater arts, building an athletic program, just UIL events, UIL hosting. These are all things that I believe that teenagers' tax dollars from when they work in the summer are getting invested into, but yet they don't have a say of how they spend it or what they spend it on. They're just having to accept what's given to them, which I find wrong, as if they're paying equal tax dollars to me and I have more of a say, which if you don't find anything wrong with that, then that's crazy. This is not just a guess, and this stuff it actually works. Global success has shown that in states like Austria, Argentina, and Brazil, lowering the age limit to 16 has worked, and it doesn't just work, but it also has a lifelong habit. It fosters early civic engagement for a stronger democracy, not just for me, not just for you at watching this, but just overall, it allows our younger generation to get more involved into politics and early on, so they have more knowledge of what's going on, who's in the office representing us, the people, who's making these decisions for us, who's gonna voice our opinions when we can't sometimes. And I feel like that's like it's very important that if we just allow these 16-year-olds to vote, that they just academically get smarter, more intelligent, and they get more research done, and they're more engaged in school. Hands-on learning turns high school government classes from memorization into real-world practices. This is very important because time and time again, each and every year when I was in school, it was more of us sitting in a classroom learning about past events that we really don't have a say on or can't change. And I just feel like if we allow these 16-year-olds to come in and have their voices heard, that we could just they just have the classroom more engaged. People were actually coming, the students were actually doing more research on politics and yeah. And last but not least, we're just honoring America's promise. No taxation without representation is something that I believe in what these kids sometimes could go through. Fulfilling our nation's oldest foundational pledge. Our founding fathers made this, and this is one of the reasons why the Constitution was made. And it's just a big representation that people literally died for. So I feel like if they're paying taxes, then they should be represented and their voices should be heard. They shouldn't be left out just because they're 16 years old. Giving them a voice, ending the injustice of silencing tax-paying young citizens. Just give them a voice. They want to be heard. I just feel like if we allow our students and our teenagers to be more involved in stuff, they would just be happier and they'd feel like they mattered more in this life, and they would just advance their education even better. They'd probably take it more serious. And another note is it just invests in the future, building a stronger, more engaged democracy from day one. From day one when this law gets passed, we'll have more kids engaged in politics, wanting to learn more about our government, actually investing their time into knowing who's in office, who the candidates are for the next president. Because who knows, maybe one of those kids that are learning now and are able to vote at 16, maybe they get politically influenced to a side and they might be our president one day. And And I believe just waiting until they're 18, the 18-year-old drop off, waiting until 18 catches people during chaotic life moves and missed elections. If we continue to allow these 18-year-olds, allow this law of 18 to vote, then I believe that a lot of 18-year-olds at the time aren't really worried about the elections. They're more worried about, going to college, going to work, where they're going to work at, how are they going to eat, how are they going to pay the bill, just in a very chaotic moment. And I believe that if we push it to 16, then we have more engagements in our kids, and they're more comfortable with politics, and they already know their laws more. They read more about the Constitution. They know more about their rights, and they just do more research, and they're just more happier and more excited about politics. And I feel like they have more of a voice, not just in politics, but in everything we do, whether that's passing a bill for a new park or a new building or just anything. They're just more involved in the community, making our community tighter as a whole. And yeah, that's about it.